Are you frugal or cheap? What's the difference? How to know the difference? Hey, I'm Marcus. You're at the channel The Debt Free Dad, where we're talking finances, financial takes, attorney reactions, current events, and a whole bunch of stuff in between. Hey, always got to throw the disclaimer out. I am a licensed attorney in several jurisdictions, but none of those places amount to me being your counsel. So it's not legal or financial advice, just giving my opinion on takes and topics. And find a professional in your area if you need help. Don't come over here hollering at me. That's not what it is. Go find a professional. Now let's dive in and let's give it. Okay. Talking about cheap, like raise your hand if you've ever been called cheap. Okay. Now, raise your hand if you were called cheap. Was it called cheap by a friend or family member? Because a stranger's probably not going to call you cheap. It's always a family member. So let me raise my hand. I've been called cheap. I've been called cheap by family members. Now, here's the interesting question. If you've been called cheap by a friend or family member, was the friend or family member who called you cheap actually concerned and focused about their finances? Did they have good financial habits? I'm going to guess probably not. I have never been called cheap by someone who had really good financial habits. I'm always called cheap by someone who lives paycheck to paycheck or puts everything on a credit card. And because I can't do something or I decline to do something that they want to do or they think I should do, I get called cheap. And then I started thinking, like, yo, am I cheap or am I? They had me thinking I'm cheap. Like, am I cheap or am I frugal? So I said, you know what? Let's talk about it and let's look at the difference. Now, we got to first talk about the common misconception that being frugal means always buying the cheapest option. Actually, that's not frugal. That's being the cheap ass. Being frugal is about finding ways to save money and to align that savings with your values and priorities. Someone who's frugal is not going to waste money on something that they don't value or priority. If you value trips, traveling, a frugal person is going to spend their money on trips and traveling, but they're going to do it in a way that's makes sense to them. It fits with them. Someone who is frugal is mindful of their spending. They might budget their money, they might look for deals, they may shop around for purchases, going to the secondhand store. They kind of had my mentality. My mentality is, you know what? I'm going to get what the hell I want, but I'm going to get it at what I want to pay for it. And if I can't get it for what I'm willing to pay, I'm probably not going to get it. Like I said, they may also look at secondhand items. My brother used to actually work at the thrift shop, and he would tell me, like, yo, they had crazy stuff, Rolexes and all sorts of crazy stuff that people would just give away and donate to charity. Now that stuff probably never made it to the floor because people probably was taking it. But a lot of times you can go to secondhand stores. I know where I'm at. They actually have what you call high-end secondhand stores where people go give up their expensive ass Louis Vuitton purses and all of those things that you're probably not going to find at your normal thrift shop. But this is an upscale secondhand store where you can get luxury items. So a lot of times they might budget their money to look for deals, shop around before making a purchase. Um, they choose quality over quantity and they look for deals in products that can last them a long time. Here's a prime example of when I was being cheap versus when I was being frugal. Headphones. Over the past 3 years, I probably spent $200 easily on headphones. You know what I do? I go to a cheap ass store like Marshalls or Ross. I get a cheap pair of Bluetooth knockoff AirPods or something like that, and I just use them. What happens? I always lose them. One stops working, they fall apart, they don't hold the charge. But I've been buying these things $25, $30 a pop 2 or 3 times a year over the past 2 or 3 years. Well, about 3 or 4 months ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to buy one pair of headphones, one expensive, good pair of headphones. And I purchased those headphones. They work great. They never fail me. And you know what? Because I paid a little bit more for them, I'm making sure I'm not losing them damn things because they was $200. Now I could have got a $200 pair of headphones a long time ago, But no, being cheap, I kept buying these cheaper versions and they would lose them. I would break them. I ended up spending way more than the $200 that I spent to get one actual good pair. One thing that frugal people do when they purchase, they consider what they're buying, not just the price, but frugal people buy things that has other value outside of their price. If it's something to support a good cause, a frugal person will be willing to spend money on it. If it's something that, they're one of the tree huggers, eco-friendly, they're willing to pay a little bit more to support a product that believes in something that they believe in. So frugal people are not opposed to supporting a cause or belief for a price or paying a little bit extra to support a cause or belief that they believe in. Now, on the other hand, a cheap ass person, a cheap ass person is more focused on the price. They might go for the cheapest option, even if it means cutting back on quality, durability, convenience. That was DFD with headphones. I was buying the cheap ass headphones, breaking them, and I probably spent more than $200 over the past 3 years anyway when I could have got a good ass pair. Cheap people tend to think in the short term. They want to spend as little as possible, even if it means paying more in the long run. For example, they might choose fast food over healthy meals because it's cheaper. Let's just think this. This is actually a really good example, okay? You have the money to buy a meal. You can buy groceries from a store, vegetables, fruit, vegetables, but we all know the game, how it is in America. It costs more to eat healthy. So you have a couple of options. You could either you have the money to do both. You can buy a healthier option, which is going to cost you more because healthy foods cost more, or you could go to Taco Bell and get a $5 meal that's cheap. Well, in the short term, the $5 meal is actually cheaper, but in the long term, over time, you're probably going to save a lot on your health costs, your health costs from eating better foods that actually take care of you and don't put a physical toll on your body from being so goddamn greasy. But that's a really good example of how cheap people look at the short term where they think, okay, I'm gonna get this meal because this is cheaper. But if they do that over a period of time, it could have long term effects that in the end could be more expensive. And just the opposite, frugal people tend to think about the long term. They might spend more money up front if it will save them money on the long haul. For example, they might invest in a high quality item that'll last a long time, like winter boots or a kitchen appliance or something to that effect. Whereas a cheap person is just going to get the cheapest version of that item that probably isn't going to last long or work as well. Being frugal is about being intentional with your money. It's not just about saving money for the sake of it. It's about using your money in a way that aligns with your values and priorities and not depriving yourself of the things that you want, but getting the things that you want when you can fiscally afford to get them and it is not a financial burden. That could mean spending more money on experiences that matter to you, like travel or entertainment, even if it's not the cheapest option. It could also mean spending less money on items that you don't care about as much, like clothing or fashion. I find myself now just getting shirts and stuff that don't have any logos on them. They just kind of clothes, and I don't really care because it was $10 to $12. Like this workout shirt, I was like, yo, this is a good workout shirt. It got a little hood on it so I could throw it up if the head game is looking a little nappy while I'm in the gym. But it was $10. It was a great deal. There's no logos. I don't even know what brand this is. It probably say exercise shirt on the tag. But it was $10. It's affordable and it does what I needed to do. It got the nice ear wicking technology so brother don't get all sweaty when I'm sweating profusely in the gym. Now, to wrap up this video, in short, being frugal is not the same as being cheap. So let me know, what do you think you are? Are you cheap? Are you frugal? And more importantly, let me know if you've been called cheap. Was it someone who actually had good financial habits? Being frugal means being mindful of your money, looking for bargains, but understanding that you're willing to pay for experiences and you're willing to pay a little bit more for quality because it'll save you money in the long run. Also, it goes along with your values and buying things that match up with your priorities. It's about finding ways to save money that align with who you are and what you want in life. I hope this video added a little granularity on the difference between being frugal and being cheap. Let me know in the comments down below what are your thoughts on this video, and if you are considered a frugal person or El Cheapskate. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more content. Thanks for watching.